Well, welcome everyone. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Today is a historic day in the history of Harrisburg. As of this morning, we have closed on our first properties on this block of South 14th Street. The city is now the proud owner of one of the houses that closed this morning, and by the end of the day, we will own 7 of these properties. So the initial 7 closings are happening as we speak. Now, I just spoke to a gentleman named Mr. McFarland who lives in which house, Jack?
1454.
Right down there. He's next in line. And I sat with him for a moment and his niece while he went over the paperwork with the attorneys. He purchased his home, I think he said 43 years ago. And he remembers the day that he sat down and signed the original transaction. He is going to be getting a large check today, and it's going to help him with the rest of his life. He's already relocated. He's found a very nice apartment, and he says that it's much easier to maintain and easier for him at this particular stage in his life. So he's happy. His niece checks on him regularly. But the moment's bittersweet because, again, he'd lived here for over 40 years. And the story, as there is one to tell, is one of families that were part of the backbone of Harrisburg that are now having to relocate because of this sinkhole tragedy. But they're doing so, and slowly but surely we will be purchasing all of the homes on this block. By the end of the year, December 31st is our deadline, we will own all the homes, and apparently there's some news this morning. Positive news in that there was one home that had opted out of the program previously, but they called and want in now. So the city will now be purchasing all of the homes, which makes our eventual demolition and transformation into a green space, I think, easier. So that's a positive thing. I want to thank, most importantly, I'm joined by Tom Hughes from Pima and all of the hard work that they did, Jackie Parker and our staff, other members here, for the work that we did in bringing this together. The funds that are used today came from a variety of different sources. They essentially all came through HUD and the federal government, but some were under the control of the Commonwealth. Others came directly through Pima. There's also some resources that came from the county, and I want to thank the Dauphin County Commissioners. Together, we put together a package which is allowing us to purchase each of these homes, and it is worth reflecting that when this sinkhole tragedy started, sinkholes weren't covered in any form of disaster relief, and this is the first such project anywhere in the nation. So I think all eyes are on Harrisburg as we go through this process, but we're going to make people proud. So again, 7 homes are currently being closed on today. The rest are being scheduled between now and the end of the year. The city will eventually own all of the homes on this block. You'll see some activity over the course of the day. We're going down, we're inspecting the homes with a final inspection as the closing documents are signed. We'll be boarding up the homes and doing some other small things in the short term. But again, between now and December 31st, all of these homes will eventually sell to the city. I have our technical experts here, so if anyone has any questions, I'm available. Yes, ma'am. So it all depends on the appraisals, but they're all in the $50,000 range. Now, different owners may have liens or obligations on the homes that have to be paid out at settlement. So the actual amount of checks that people are getting will differ. And in some cases, it's a significantly large check and enough to really, transform one's life moving forward. So that's a positive story.
What happens to, that's for the homeowner, so what happens to those who are tenants?
Right. So I believe we've got about 14 of the units that are rental units, and we have been working closely with those tenants to relocate them and provide them with relocation assistance. That's underway, and so all of the tenants and the homeowners will be, at least between now and the end of the year, will be either relocated or everything will be set for the settlement to occur. If you're asking why the 7 today, those 7 were just ready to go and have been ready to go from the beginning. Some people are taking a little bit longer. as part of the process, and that's fine. But these 7 were particularly anxious to go, and they bumped right up to the front of the list.
What are you guys going to do with the properties? What's the plan for this street?
Right, so the plan for this street is to demolish the properties. We are on the major natural disaster of the sinkhole here. We're going to demolish the properties and turn this into a green space. Part of the requirement from FEMA for the funding is that we will not be able to build on this space ever again. But I do envision what will hopefully be a positive, green community park-like area, which will be a benefit.
And can you talk just a little bit about the process? Residents here have been waiting a while for this to happen.
It's been a very complicated and long drawn out process. Again, I think that's partly because this is the first time that this has ever been done, and we were bringing funding together from a variety of sources and agencies. There was an awful lot of documentation that, as you know, has to go into closing on these homes, research, all the relocation assistance and efforts. So that's why it's taken so long. But I think today we are celebrating that this final phase is beginning, and it's very real and concrete, and the homes are now transferring into the city's possession.
The homeowner you mentioned earlier, Mr. McFarland,
Yes.
you said he's in an apartment now. I'm
Yes.
curious if you know how many homeowners who were displaced bought homes again and have maintained homeowner status.
I don't know if we have those details yet, but I imagine we are tracking that, and maybe we can give some cumulative data for you when we're done the process. We have helped various homeowners connect to realtors and look at potential homes. We've helped them tour apartments. It's really an individual choice. What people will want to do. I just brought up Mr. McFarland as an example because we were just talking, and he's currently inside. He was literally signing the deed when we came outside. Any other questions?
Just to confirm, the city wasn't able to help homeowners with relocation costs? I mean, beyond buying the house, were they able to help with the costs?
The relocation assistance was for tenants. And that continues and is ongoing. The homeowners, though, we did work with individually. We helped connect them, and we did a number of meetings where we talked about options, and we gave them general advice. But ultimately, it's up to them to determine what they want to do with the proceeds from this sale.
I'm sorry, is the money from FEMA or PEMA?
So the money is from the federal government, but it is through Pennsylvania, so it's through PEMA. So the money comes from FEMA and HUD, goes through PEMA, and they're our partners locally to help administer the disaster relief funds.
What's the total?
The total. So right now we have a total of about 4.7 million for the 2 funds that are all coming through PEMA. Portion of that from FEMA. A portion of that from HUD through CDBG, which is another way, and then there's another almost $1 million from the county. So all told, about $5.7 million for the project.
What's kind of been the reaction of the homeowners? They've been waiting a long time for this moment to come. Like you said, it's been a kind of a complicated process. Now we're at the last chapter, it seems like.
Well, I use the term bittersweet, and I think that represents the mood of the room currently. People were reflecting on the many years that they'd spent on this street. They were reflecting on the nature of community in Harrisburg and what a wonderful place this was to live. There was also a recognition that a new chapter was opening in their lives, and that they were going to be receiving a check, and that this tragedy was coming to a close regarding the sinkhole. So I think bittersweet is the right term. Now everybody's going to have their own perspective on this. I know there are others that are here that are eager to sign up and be part of the closing. So today, the first 7 of the properties are officially in the city's hands. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming out. Appreciate it. We'll stick around and answer any additional questions.